Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Save As Ability. It's great to be with you. David D'Arcangelo, another episode. If you can help us continue to grow our channel, share. I'm starting with share because that really helps the most. Share, like, subscribe, comment, all of that does help us keep great content flowing for you. And today we have a guest. We have a great guest. It's Jim Wice, legend of the disability community in the Massachusetts area. Jim, welcome in.
David, thanks so much for having me. And I always thought I was a legend in my own mind, but if I'm a legend any other way, then all good, man, all good.
Well, you've done so many great things. Today, I think we're going to focus in a little bit, though, on recreation programs. And I know you're into like power soccer, but there's other things going on as well that we can talk about, because I really think that like so many of the programs and services directed at people with disabilities, it's like recreation is almost like an afterthought. Like there's a good amount that is done when people with disabilities are children and kids and they're in school in that environment. There's some good recreation programs. But once that concludes, that really is not that much. And, certainly not like the amount there is for people without disabilities. Like, you drive by on any summer afternoon and there's the softball fields filled with people playing and, all kinds of activities, running groups and everything else. But then for people with disabilities, there really isn't a lot. So what you've done over the years for power soccer and some other activities is really, to me, a great thing and much needed. So fill me in. Tell us what we can express to our audience here.
Yeah, primarily through Boston Self-Help Center. And I should disclose that I'm a quadriplegic. So I guess the term now they use tetraplegic, but I'm an old timer. So it's hard to get those new words in there. But, and I in particular was looking for something that I could do. And so about 14 years ago, discovered this power soccer where you play in a power wheelchair, 4-on-4 in a gymnasium. And like you're saying, there may be some adaptive sports, but not enough for lots of different parts of the population. So I had said, and I tell this story that, if we build it, they will come. And, we had lots of players come. We've got 2 teams now. And we're at a point where we're also now looking at what else can we do? So we are looking at doing some bowling. The bowling alleys already have the rails, and the ramps. We're looking at doing bocce. We have some folks who do something called urban hiking. That's basically walking around the city, but with an end goal of maybe, having something social. Food, wine, beer, whatever it is, maybe some target shooting.
But getting out there, moving around, being recreational.
And I got to say that I have noticed over the years of the folks who have come through come through our programs, they get a lot out of it. And family and friends will say, I won't use names, but so-and-so, was kind of shy. They weren't much of a leader. But now this, power soccer, or what we've done other events where we've exposed people to other sports. Oh, wow, this is fantastic. I think what we'd also like to get into is, that most integrated setting that they talk about in the laws.
Sure.
How about having integrated bowling? Doesn't have to be just folks with disabilities, right?
I remember going to one of the sled hockey games, and they had a person there who was not a person with a disability, but was a former hockey player trying to play. And I remember seeing like, wait a minute, this guy played in the AHL. Like he was a high level hockey player. And here he is struggling at sled hockey. And like the people who are people with disabilities are like skating circles around this guy because it's a different thing.
Sure.
And the same is true, I think, right? We've seen like wheelchair basketball, like regular basketball or typical basketball players
Yep.
without disabilities try to play it, and they can't hang with the guys in the chairs that have been playing it all along.
But there seems to be opportunities where some of the sports, like bowling, right? I mean, someone who, if you want to use the term able body, whatever you want to use, you know, competing against me, but I've got the ramp, we could either be on the same team, we could be competing against each other, but those relationships go far. I mean, I've noticed we have a lot of volunteers that come out from Northeastern and from MGH, and I guess they're now called MGB, Mass General Brigham, you know, and those relationships, I think, go far. But how about making them not supportive, but hey, we're on the same level field. And again, you were talking about seeing people playing on the playgrounds and all. That was my intent all along is, can you go and do a pickup game? If somebody gets exposed to bowling, I'm using bowling for the example because we have one coming up. But, once you find out, the bowling alleys have this stuff, you don't actually have to go do it formal. You and I could say, hey, let's go to the bowling alley, and we know what it's about now because we've experienced it, and have some fun. And maybe we don't have to become a professional bowler, just like everybody else, just a pickup game.
Just like
Yeah.
there's various states of ability, there's various states
Yeah.
of competitiveness and,
Sure.
participation, and getting out there, that's what you want, right? You want that equal participation.
Yep. And to have some fun, right? And to, maybe you're going to meet somebody with different experiences or interests, and,
Right.
and they're going to meet somebody who's different, and, go from there.
Well,
I mean, it's a lot of
absolutely. You
fun.
mentioned you mentioned you have two teams. Talk a little bit about that, because I know there's like a regional league, there's a national league, there's a whole thing there, and some of those games get audiences.
They do. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And when you see these things, it's amazing. The chairs are like they're on steroids.
Yes.
They're fast, they're quick. You play on a basketball court indoors, so it's comfortable. In New England, we have about 8 teams competing. Boston Self-Help Center currently has 2 teams, the Boston Breakers, Brakers, and they've been going that's the team I started up with. And now we have the Commonwealth Cruisers, and there's 4 different conferences. We have kind of a top tier conference team, the Breakers, and then kind of more of a beginners or entry level. I don't want to say beginners, but entry level.
Well,
And
you're
hopefully
being
we're going to
humble
have
there. Give everybody a little bit of a background of the recreational programs that you've helped put together through major organizations that you've been a part of.
So actually, for the most part, my career has been in higher ed and disability services. So I've had different organizations come and demonstrate some of the things they've done. Like, again, they don't call it quad rugby anymore. Now they call it disability rugby. But Boston Self-Help Center, with some organizations like Empower, has brought together, the sled hockey folks, the adaptive programs. We've had Spalding and Easter Seals, and in Easter Seals to demonstrate some martial arts and other things to just expose people to the sport. I mean, I gotta say we don't have a lot of resources. So part of what we try to do is get that low hanging fruit, try to raise some money, always looking at grants, always looking at sponsors, dig deep, or whatever. If you know somebody,
Well, make sure you send us those links. We'll put them in the description for people who want to get involved in some level. Yeah.
And the website's bostonselfhelpcenter.org, and you can find out quite a bit right there. But, I think part of what we've also done is some survey work, trying to find out what people are interested in. And people have a range of interests like everybody you'd expect, but they don't always have a lot of experience. Like the sailing program. Some folks with some disabilities like sailing. I particularly like to be in my wheelchair and stay in my wheelchair. And I don't want to be an anchor. So not to knock the sailing program, but I'm not going down with the ship.
It could be challenging getting on and off that boat. Yes.
I mean, we've had a program called Volt Hockey. They've actually spun off into their own nonprofit. And we tend to practice over at the Tobin Community Center. They're up at Mount Ida now. We may be looking at another form of hockey in the chairs. And whatever, I think this for us this year, I think will be a transitional year, kind of exploring those other, I keep calling it low-hanging fruit, things that may not be that expensive. And with a little help from some friends, hopefully, maybe we'll get some bocce ramps to expose people to that. We've done it. We've rented them before, but to have our own and to, actually maybe start a little program, why not?
Yeah, why not? Absolutely. I mean, you got to get people out there because the human condition, it can be very challenging. Let's just be sober for a moment, right? It's easy for me to say I get to just mobilate easily. You do very well. You're very well accustomed. Not everybody's in that same place.
Sure.
And I think these type of activities can really be a bridge to more independence, more self-determination, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of informal mentoring and sometimes even formal mentoring that goes on. You and I had spoken before we started about, how many folks are working and not working. So I'd say, half of the folks have jobs, half don't. But of those folks who have jobs, they can be mentors to some of the folks who may be looking for jobs, or maybe they're not looking, but at least they can be a role model and
help lead to access to opportunity. Absolutely.
Sure. So it's been a fun trip. And I'm enjoying it. I'm actually retired from higher education and disability services. So in some ways, this is my, stay active, be in the community, and
way to continue to give back. Yeah, that's good. And use your expertise. Well, as we begin to conclude here, Jim, tell everybody who's listening and watching how they can get involved with all these activities.
Well, definitely people can, I'll share my email address. It's kind of like my name, JJWICE at gmail.com. Let me make sure I get it right.
And we'll put that in the
description. Go to our website, bostonselfhelpcenter.org. We're always looking for people. We never turn anybody away. If people are interested in soccer, great. If they're interested in exploring something else, this is the time to bring up the issue, not so much the issue, but what they'd like to do. If I can do it, I'm going to try it, and if I can figure out, or somebody else may be out there that's doing it somewhere in the country. So bring it on. Let's have some fun.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, Jim. Thanks for what you do.
Hey, thank you for what you do too. And thanks for giving us an audience to share this stuff with.
Well, we'll push it out far and wide, and people can get involved. Send us those links. We'll put them in the description. So we want to thank Jim Wice for coming in, being our guest today here on Save Visibility. Jim, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, David, for inviting me.
It's great to be with you. David Darkangelo, another episode of Save Visibility, and I hope you have a great day. For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David Darkangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.